secret payload. The Middle East, a region of ancient history and modern conflict, was on the brink of chaos. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict had been raging for decades, with no end in sight. The rise of extremist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas has further destabilized the region, making it a hotbed of tension and violence. In this volatile landscape, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, had emerged as a powerful force. His fiery rhetoric and bold actions had made him a hero to many in the Arab world and a thorn in the side of Israel and its allies. But Nasrallah's power and influence came at a cost. His involvement in the Syrian Civil War and his support for other extremist groups had made him a target for Israel and its allies. The Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, had been trying to bring him down for years, but he had always managed to stay one step ahead. This adaptation of the story begins in Tel Aviv, where Mac, a former MI6 agent, and Rose, an ex-CIA computer hacker and Mac's sidekick, team up with Dr. Blake, a genius who created explosives small enough to fit inside a cell phone that could be detonated remotely. The plan? To take out the Hezbollah leadership and others in one audacious attack.
Chapter 1. Echo Chamber, classified document, eyes only. Mossad, MI6, project code, name Echo Chamber.
Is that those for arrival?
Mac and Rose stepped off the private jet at Ben Gurion Airport, the warm air enveloping them like a shroud. Beside him, Rose, a petite, raven-haired ex-CIA asset, adjusted her shades, surveying the surroundings with a practiced gaze. Their mission briefing had been sparse, but the Mossad handler, Director Levin, had agents waiting for them at the airport. The whispers of a rogue terrorist cell operating in the city had reached Mossad's ears, and they needed Mac and Rose's unique skill set to take them down. As they quickly whisked through customs, they were joined by a former colleague and cyber warfare expert, Dr. Blake.
Mac, Rose, good to see you both again. Mossad recruited me to help with the op.
Mac smiled.
Well, Dr. Blake. Rose, we're in good hands here.
Dr. Blake grinned.
Thanks. Great to have the team together again. I've been tracking this cell's comms and I've got something interesting. They've been using a custom-built encryption protocol, but I think I can crack it. However, we've been working on a little gift for the terrorists in Lebanon. They'll be blown away by this nice gesture.
Sounds like some fun. And we've got a party to crash.
Tel Aviv's nocturnal heartbeat pulsed through the streets, a rhythmic blend of nightlife and restless energy. Mac, a seasoned ex-MI6 operative, navigated the shadows, his eyes scanning the surroundings with practiced intensity. Beside him, his trusted sidekick and partner, Rose, a petite, dark-haired ex-CIA asset and expert hacker, kept pace, her own gaze sweeping the area with a mix of curiosity and caution. Their meeting with Mossad's director Levin was shrouded in mystery, but one thing was clear: they were here to take on a high-stakes mission, one that required their unique skill sets. The Israeli intelligence agency had a reputation for being tight-lipped, but whispers of a rogue terrorist cell operating in the city had reached the ears of MI6 and the CIA, prompting the request for their expertise. As they approached the designated meeting point, a nondescript cafe on the outskirts of the city, Mac's comms device crackled to life.
Echo 1, this is Mossad. Proceed to the extraction point. The package is waiting.
Mac's eyes locked onto Rose, and he nodded almost imperceptibly.
The meeting will have to wait. Let's go.
They picked up their pace, the sense of anticipation building. The extraction point was a short drive away. As they sped through the city, the tension built. and the shadows seemed to close in around them. The night was young, and the stakes were high. It was time to take the fight to the enemy. The SUV navigated the winding streets of Tel Aviv, the city's nightlife still pulsating around them. Dr. Blake's eyes remained fixed on his laptop screen, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he worked to unlock an encryption protocol needed to locate the abandoned warehouse.
Almost there.
Mac's gaze flicked between the road ahead and Dr. Blake's screen, his mind racing with possibilities. Rose, sensing his tension, placed a calming hand on his arm.
Easy, Mac. We've got this, my dear.
Dr. Blake's laptop beeped, and he let out a triumphant sigh.
Got it. I've cracked the encryption. The cell's safe house is located in the old industrial district. It's an abandoned warehouse in Herzliya.
Mac's grip on the seat tightened.
Time to pay Shabab a visit.
The SUV pulled up at the edge of the industrial district, the warehouse looming like a specter in the darkness. Mac, Rose, and Dr. Blake donned their gear, the Mossad team fanning out around the perimeter. As they prepared to breach, Mac's comms device crackled to life.
Echo 1, this is Mossad. Be advised, we have multiple targets inside. Exercise extreme caution.
Mac's eyes locked onto Rose and Dr. Blake.
You two stay sharp. We're going in hot.
With a deep breath, they burst through the warehouse doors, the sound of shattering glass and splintering wood echoing through the night. The hunt was on. Inside, the warehouse was a labyrinth of crates and shadows. Mac and Rose moved in sync, their training and experience guiding them through the darkness. Dr. Blake remained outside, his eyes fixed on the laptop screen as he monitored the cell's communications. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire erupted from the shadows, the sound echoing off the walls. Mac and Rose dropped to the ground, returning fire as they sought cover.
Contact!
Mac shouted, his voice carrying over the din of gunfire. Rose's voice was calm, her eyes scanning the surroundings.
I've got 2 targets. 10 o'clock.
Mac's gaze followed her gaze, his finger tightening on the trigger.
Engaging!
The exchange was brief. One short burst from Mac's gun had the terrorists falling to the ground dead. As Mac and Rose advanced, their guns trained on the remaining targets. As the dust settled, Mac's eyes scanned the warehouse, his gaze locking onto a figure cowering behind a crate.
Shabab, I presume?
The figure trembled, his eyes wide with fear.
No. It cannot be.
Mac's smile was cold.
Oh, it's us, and we're here to take you down.
With that, 2 Mossad agents grabbed Shabab and roughly tied him to a chair. Another Mossad unmarked van pulled up at the door of the warehouse, agents spilling out and unloading 2 crates, bringing them inside. Shabab must see Israel's strength and ingenuity before he dies. Dr. Blake worked his magic, his fingers flying across the keyboard, sweat beading on his forehead. The tension was palpable as the countdown began.
So now, for a test of this plan against the terrorists, enjoy the last show you will see, Shabab.
Take cover, team.
Rose held her breath, eyes fixed on the screen. The cell phones in the safe house exploded in a synchronized burst of chaos, sending shrapnel flying and the remaining terrorists scrambling. Mac and the Mossad team taking down the stunned survivors. Shabab and his surviving team members were then loaded into the van and whisked away, never to be seen again, the city breathing a collective sigh of relief. The Tel Aviv terror cell was destroyed along with their base. As the dust settled, Mac turned to Rose and Dr. Blake, a nod of respect on his face.
Good work, team.
Back at Mossad HQ, Levin's expression thawed, a hint of a smile on his lips.
Well done, Echo Chamber. You've saved countless lives today.
And so, the unlikely trio of Mac, Rose, and Dr. Blake embarked on a mission that would take them to some of the darkest corners of the Middle East, using their unique skills to take down the enemies of the state, one hacked phone at a time.
Chapter 2, The Deadly Payload.
The Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv was abuzz with activity as Mac, Rose, and Dr. Blake worked alongside agents in an underground laboratory to finalize the plan. Director Levin's eyes gleamed with determination as he oversaw the operation. The gift of new state-of-the-art smart cell phones was destined to head to terrorists in Lebanon and Iran. Director Levin's eyes scanned the room, his expression grim.
These phones will give us the upper hand. The Iranians and Hezbollah will think they're getting a gift, a way to communicate without being tracked. But in reality, they'll be holding a ticking time bomb. The phones are ready.
Mac nodded. Levin's voice was low.
We've loaded them with the malware, and they're set to detonate simultaneously. Our people have made contact with our Iranian and Lebanese intelligence agents. The delivery is set for tonight.
Dr. Blake nodded, his eyes fixed on the screen.
I've encrypted the phones with a custom-built protocol. Only our team can activate the detonation sequence.
Rose frowned, her brow furrowed.
What's the target list, Director?
Levin handed her a tablet with a list of names and faces.
Senior terrorists, all with a price on their heads. We've identified key players in the Iranian and Lebanese networks. Our intel tells us they will be having a secret meeting in Beirut. This is a golden opportunity to take them out.
Max scanned the list, his eyes narrowing as he recognized several names.
This is a big hit, Director. Are we sure about the intel?
Levin's expression was grim.
We've verified the information through multiple sources. These men are planning a major attack on Israeli and Western targets. We can't let that happen.
Rose's phone buzzed. Her eyes fixed on Levin, she spoke up, her voice laced with concern.
Director, we may have a problem. The Iranians are getting suspicious. They've changed the delivery location.
Ah, yes, Rose. We are aware and have prepared for this possibility.
Dr. Blake nodded, his eyes fixed on the devices.
Very well. I've loaded the phones with a custom-built malware, making them virtually untraceable. The terrorists will be none the wiser until it's too late.
Mac picked up one of the phones, his eyes narrowing as he examined it. The phone appeared to be a standard Android smartphone.
And the delivery plan?
Levin handed him a folder containing the details.
Our agent, Phoenix, has made contact with the Iranian and Hezbollah handlers. He has infiltrated the terror group. They've agreed to take delivery of the phones in a warehouse on the border of Israel in the town of Methulah. Mac, Roz, you'll be posing as couriers.
Rose nodded, her eyes scanning the folder.
What's the expected turnout?
Levin's expression turned serious.
We're expecting a mix of Iranian and Hezbollah operatives. They'll be heavily armed, so be careful. Your priority is to get the phones to them without arousing suspicion.
Mac tucked the folder into his jacket, his mind already racing with the plan.
I got it. When's the delivery?
Tonight, Phoenix will make contact with the handlers, and you'll make the delivery. The phones will be distributed to key targets, and we'll wait for the perfect moment to activate them.
The team nodded, their faces set with determination. This was a high-risk operation, but it was a chance to take out some of the most wanted terrorists in the region. As they prepared to leave, Levin's voice stopped them.
Mac, Roz, be careful. We're playing a delicate game here. If the Iranians or Hezbollah suspect anything, it could blow the entire operation.
Mac nodded, his eyes locked onto Rose's.
You're on it, Director.
As they prepared to leave, Levin's voice stopped them again.
Mac, Roz, I cannot stress this enough. Be careful. We're playing with fire here. If this goes wrong, it could ignite a huge regional conflict.
Mac and Rose left the underground laboratory to a waiting Mercedes Sprinter van parked nearby. The night air was thick with tension as Mac and Rose began their 2-hour drive north to the border town of Methulah. 5 large boxes of the gifted cargo in the back of their Mercedes Sprinter van. The streets were dark and deserted, the only sound the distant hum of a few cars. As they approached the meeting point in the border town of Methulah, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Phoenix, their Mossad contact, posing as a trusted Hezbollah contact. Phoenix whispered, his eyes scanning the area.
The handlers are here, they're getting impatient. Let's move.
Mac and Rose, dressed in courier uniforms, entered the dimly lit warehouse in Mechoula. They exchanged a quick glance before stepping out of the vehicle. Phoenix joined them inside. Rose followed Phoenix to a side room while Mac stayed with the packages. A few minutes later, Rose returned with a nod. As they prepared to leave, Mac asked,
All good?
Yeah, payment's there. Let's move.
As they handed over the phones to waiting Hezbollah operatives, Phoenix lingered nearby, watching. The exchange was tense but smooth. One of the operatives checked the phones, his expression unreadable.
Shukran,
He said, pocketing one of the devices. Mac and Rose nodded, turning to leave. Phoenix caught Mac's eye, a flicker of acknowledgement.
Let's go.
Mac said quietly to Rose as they walked out into the night. The Hezbollah operatives watched them leave, suspicion lingering in the air. The Hezbollah operatives gathered around the packages, unwrapping the phones with cautious hands. One of them, a tall, lean man with a scar above his left eyebrow, spoke up, handing a phone to a younger operative with a beard.
Ali, check these.
Ali examined the phone, checking the specs and the packaging.
Khalid, these are the ones. The encryption is right and the batch numbers match.
Khalid, the leader, nodded, a cold glare in his eyes.
Good. We'll take them to Beirut tonight. Tell the drivers to break the vehicles.
A third operative, Mahmoud, spoke up.
What about the couriers? Should we?
No, they're just delivery. They don't know anything. Let them go.
The operatives began packing the phones into specialized bags ready for transport. Khalid turned to Ali.
Ensure these reach Hassan. He'll distribute to the targets.
Ali nodded, a hint of excitement in his voice.
Inshallah, we'll get them to him safely.
As they prepared to leave, Khalid's phone buzzed. He answered, listening intently before responding in hushed Arabic.
والصلاة العاجزة نعمة.
The operatives exchanged glances, their faces set with determination. The phones, now in their possession, would soon reach their deadly targets. As they left the town of Mechoula and began their drive south to Tel Aviv, Mac couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The phones were now in the hands of the enemy, and it was only a matter of time before they were distributed to the key targets. The clock was ticking, and the fate of the operation hung in the balance.
Chapter 3, Into the Lion's Den.
They remained silent on their 2-hour drive to Tel Aviv. The night air was thick with tension as Mac and Rose made their way back to the Mossad headquarters. The delivery had gone smoothly, but the waiting game had begun. The phones were now on the way to the enemy, and it was only a matter of time before they were distributed to the key targets. Early the next morning, Mac and Rose returned to Mossad HQ. As they entered the building, Director Levin looked up from the briefing papers scattered across the table. His eyes were intense, his expression serious.
The Iranians and Hezbollah are already distributing the funds. Our sources indicate that several high-ranking officials will receive them, including Amir, the leader of the Iranian-backed militia in Lebanon.
Dr. Blake, the cyber warfare expert, looked up from his computer screen.
I've been tracking the phones, and it looks like they're being sent to several key locations. I've pinpointed the addresses, but we'll need to move quickly if we want to take out the targets.
Mac's eyes narrowed as he studied the map of Lebanon on the wall.
We can't take out all these targets at once. We need to prioritize.
Levin nodded, his eyes scanning the room.
We've identified several high-value targets, including Amir and Nasrallah, who will be attending a meeting in Beirut tomorrow night. That's our first hit. This is our chance to take out several key players in one go.
Rose frowned, her brow furrowed.
What's our role, Director?
Levin's expression turned grim.
You and Mac need to get to Beirut. You will oversee the operation. However, you'll be on your own once you get there.
Mac nodded, his mind already racing with the plan.
What's the location?
A nightclub in the heart of Beirut. It's a high-end establishment, so you'll need to blend in. I've arranged for you to pose as a wealthy businessman and his wife. Just observe. Our sources advise us that Amir will be there tomorrow night at 2000 hours. Make sure this operation is smooth. Then follow Amir when he leaves.
Rose raised an eyebrow, a hint of a smile on her lips.
Sounds like a tough job, Director.
Levin's expression remained serious.
It won't be easy, Rose. These people are ruthless, and they'll stop at nothing to protect their interests. You'll need to be careful. An unmarked Air Force helicopter is waiting to take you to Beirut.
As the team prepared for the mission, Mac couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. The stakes were high, and the margin for error was slim. Mac and Rose left the Mossad headquarters and headed to the airport, where an unmarked military helicopter was waiting for them, ready to fly them to Beirut. The flight left in complete secrecy, with no interior lights on, and flying at a very low altitude over the Mediterranean Sea to avoid radar detection. It landed very briefly on the beach, close to the Sierra Leone embassy, where a car was waiting for them on Rafiq El Hariri Road. The car whisked them to the central city, where they alighted at the corner of Cairo and Hamra, a busy shopping district.
Chapter 4: The Gift.
Amir, the leader of the Iranian-backed militia, smiled as he accepted the package from the courier. The phone was sleek and black, the latest model, and it seemed to hum with promise.
This is the new secure phone I've been told about?
Amir's eyes narrowed as he examined the device. The courier nodded, his eyes darting around the room before focusing on Amir.
Yes, sir. The latest technology, impossible to track or intercept. The Israelis and Americans will never be able to monitor or communications again.
Amir's smile grew wider as he turned the phone over in his hand. This was exactly what he needed to coordinate his next attack. He had been waiting for weeks for this delivery, and now that it was here, he could finally put his plan into action.
Excellent.
He tucked the phone into his pocket.
Please ensure that these are distributed to the team leaders. We need to be able to communicate securely if we're going to take out our targets.
The courier nodded and left, and Amir turned to his second-in-command, a burly man with a thick beard.
Ahmed, have you heard from the Hezbollah handlers?
Ahmed nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
Yes, sir. They've received the phones and are ready to distribute them to their teams. They are eager to get started.
Amir nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities. This was it. This was the moment they had been waiting for.
Good. Ensure they understand that these phones are for internal use only. We don't want any mistakes.
Ahmed nodded and left, and Amir turned to his phone, dialing a number with a sense of anticipation. The phone rang once, twice, and then a voice answered, low and gravelly.
Yes, this is Nasrallah.
Nasrallah, I have the package. It's everything we were promised and more.
The Hezbollah leader paused, and then Nasrallah's voice came back, filled with excitement.
Excellent. My operatives are ready to receive their instructions. Let's get to work.
Amir smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction. The plan was in motion, and nothing could stop them now.
Mossad headquarters, Tel Aviv, Israel.
The darkened room was filled with the soft hum of computers and the glow of screens. Mossad agents, their faces illuminated only by the faint light, monitored the conversation between Amir and Nasrallah. Dr. Blake's eyes were fixed on the screen, his voice low and urgent.
They're distributing the phones. It's starting.
Director Levin's voice came over the comms device, his tone calm and collected.
This is it, team. The clock is ticking. Let's be prepared to take them down at their next meeting.
The agents nodded, their faces set with determination. They had been waiting for this moment for weeks, and they were ready. Director Levin's phone buzzed. He took the call, on his face, a grim expression.
We just received intel from one of our sources on the ground in Lebanon that Hezbollah is planning to launch a missile attack on Israel. The attack is imminent. That cannot be allowed to take place. Alert Mac and Rose when they are on the ground in Beirut.
Beirut, Lebanon, Iranian embassy.
Amir smiled as he handed out the phones to his team leaders.
These are the new secure phones. Use them to communicate with each other and with Hezbollah. Now our calls and plans cannot be traced, and we can take out the Israeli targets and show them our power without any resistance.
The team leaders nodded, their eyes gleaming with excitement. They took the phones and began to distribute them to their teams, eager to get started. They can now safely communicate and prepare for coordinated attacks against the infidels.
Beirut, Lebanon, Hezbollah, headquarters.
Nasrallah smiled as he watched his teams receiving their phones.
This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Now, we can more easily demonstrate our power to the infidels.
He handed out the phones, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
Use these phones to communicate with each other and with the Iranians. We're going to take out the targets and show them our strength.
Beirut, Lebanon, Iranian embassy.
Amir's phone buzzed with a message, and he smiled as he read the screen.
It's Nasrallah. The teams are in place, and they're ready to move when instructed.
He turned to his team leaders, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
It's time. Let's give the order to move out.
The team leaders nodded, their faces set with determination. They began to relay the message to their teams, and the room erupted into a flurry of activity.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
Dr. Blake's eyes were fixed on the screen as he monitored the situation.
The teams are in place. The targets are being mobilized.
Director Levin's voice came over the comms device.
Get the team ready. We're going to take them down.
The agents nodded, their faces set with determination. The clock was ticking, and it was only a matter of time before the operation was set in motion. Director Levin's voice came over the comms device.
Get Mac and Roz ready. We'll need them to take out the targets as soon as possible.
Beirut, Lebanon, streets.
Mac and Rose moved through the crowded streets, their eyes scanning the crowds for any sign of trouble. They were dressed in casual clothes, blending in with the locals.
Looks like the party's just getting started.
Mac's voice was low and smooth. Rose smiled, her eyes scanning the crowds.
Time to crash it.
They moved through the streets, following the trail of terrorist operatives. They were closing in, and it was only a matter of time before they reached the targets.
Beirut, Lebanon, Hezbollah, headquarters.
Nasrallah watched as his teams moved out, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for.
He turned to his second in command, a burly man with a thick beard.
Make sure the teams are in place. We don't want any mistakes.
The man nodded, his face set with determination.
It will be done, sir.
Chapter 5, Beirut streets.
Mac and Rose moved through the crowded streets. It was early evening, and they had been tracking the terrorist teams for hours, and they were closing in on their targets. The intel from Mossad headquarters when they arrived was of an imminent missile launch from an unknown location in Beirut. As they turned a corner, Mac's eyes locked onto a group of Hezbollah operatives gathered near a cafe. They were dressed in casual clothes, but their eyes gave them away. They were pros, and they were waiting for something. Rose followed Mac's gaze, her eyes narrowing.
Looks like we've found a party.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
Let's get closer.
They moved through the crowds, their eyes locked onto the Hezbollah operatives. As they approached, one of the operatives looked up, his eyes meeting Mac's. For a moment, they locked gazes, and then the operative looked away, his hand reaching for his phone. Just then, a black SUV pulled up, and Amir and Nasrallah emerged, flanked by heavily armed guards. Mac and Rose exchanged a look. It was showtime. They slipped into the shadows, ready to take on the terrorists and protect Israeli interests. But as they moved in, they realized things were about to get way more complicated. Mac and Rose split up, moving stealthily through the crowded streets of Beirut. They had to navigate the maze-like alleys without getting caught. Rose slipped into a nearby cafe, ordering a coffee as she scoped out the building where Amir and Nasrallah were hoisting their flags. She spotted a dozen guards all packing heat. Meanwhile, Mac snuck around back, spotting a ventilation shaft. He nodded to Rose over the comms.
I'm going in hot.
Just as Mac dropped into the shaft, a massive explosion rocked the building. Amir's men were moving the operation early. Israel was running out of time. Rose rushed to the front, taking out guards as she went with her silenced gun. Mac dropped into a hallway, gun drawn.
I'm in.
But where was the target, and what was the plan? Mac's voice was tight over the comms.
Rose, I've got eyes on Amir and Nasrallah. They're heading for the underground launch site. Looks like they're going for the big one. Multiple rockets aimed straight at Tel Aviv.
Shit, I'm on my way to you. Don't let them launch.
Taking down 2 guards with precision shots. Mac sprinted through the corridors, dodging bullets. He burst into the launch room. Amir was screaming orders over his phone while Nasrallah stood stone-faced. The rockets were counting down. Rose burst in seconds later, gun trained on the launch controls.
Mossad, it's over.
Amir sneered.
Infidels, you'll never stop us. Hezbollah and Iran will crush Israel.
Mac moved to disarm the rockets.
Not on our watch.
The countdown hit 10, 9. Mac reached for the controls. Mac's fingers flew across the controls, overriding the launch sequence. The rockets froze, inert. He then fires 3 rounds from his automatic weapon into the panel, destroying it. Amir and Nasrallah's faces twisted in rage.
You'll pay for this.
With that, Mac threw a 20 shekel note on the ground.
That'll cover it, you bastard.
Rose's eyes snapped at Nasrallah, her hand reaching for her gun.
Time to take it down.
Just then, a small explosion from outside, and the lights went out, leaving the room in almost total darkness. As they waited for their eyes to adjust to the darkness, Amir and Nasrallah made their escape. As the light flickered back to life, the terrorists were gone. Mac and Rose stood alone.
Shit!
Mac and Rose left the building and moved quickly, their guns drawn. Hezbollah operatives saw them leave and were closing in, their guns trained on Mac and Rose. The air was electric with tension, and it was only a matter of time before the shooting started. Mac's eyes locked onto Rose's, and he knew that they were in this together all the way.
Let's take down these assholes.
Mac's voice was low and smooth. Rose nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement.
Time to party.
Beirut, Lebanon. Hezbollah. Headquarters, Amir and Nasrallah.
Amir and Nasrallah had escaped and were driven by a senior operative to the Hezbollah headquarters. They were both relieved they escaped, but seething with anger at the plan being thwarted. As they entered the building, they both settled in front of screens set up to monitor their agents in real time.
Beirut, Lebanon. Streets.
The air was electric with tension as Mac and Rose faced off against the Hezbollah operatives. The streets were narrow and winding, with buildings looming on either side. The sound of traffic and music filled the air, but it was a fragile piece, one that was about to be shattered. Mac and Rose moved in sync, their guns trained on the operatives. The Hezbollah men were pros, their eyes scanning the area for any sign of backup. The tension was palpable, the silence oppressive. One of the operatives sneered, his eyes flashing with anger and his voice dripping with venom.
You are going to die here, infidel.
Max smiled, his eyes cold.
Not today.
The operative snarled, his finger tightening on the trigger. Mac and Rose were ready, their guns blazing as they took down the operatives. The sound of gunfire echoed through the streets, and the crowd scattered, screaming. Mac and Rose moved quickly, taking cover behind a nearby car as the operatives returned fire. The bullets slammed into the metal, sending sparks flying. Mac and Rose were trapped, and they knew it.
We need to get out of here.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
I see a way. Follow me.
Mac grabbed her hand, and they took off. They sprinted down the street, dodging bullets and cowering civilians. The Hezbollah operatives were closing in, their guns blazing. As they turned a corner, Mac and Rose saw a taxicab pulling up to the curb. Mac yanked open the door and they dove inside.
Get us out of here!
Mac shouted to the driver, who stared at them in shock. The driver hit the gas, and the taxicab sped away from the chaos, Hezbollah operatives firing at the car, but to no avail. Mac and Rose breathed a sigh of relief, but they knew they weren't out of danger yet. Rose's voice was low and urgent.
We need to get to the safe house.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
I think I know a way.
Beirut, Lebanon. Hezbollah. Headquarters.
Nasrallah's face twisted with rage as he watched the chaos unfold on the screen.
Fools. A couple of infidels have taken them down.
His second in command, a burly man with a thick beard, nodded.
We will take care of them, sir. They will not leave Beirut alive.
Nasrallah nodded, his eyes gleaming with anger.
See to it.
Chapter 6. Hezbollah chase.
The taxi cab sped through the winding streets of Beirut, and Mac and Rose ducked down in the back seat. The driver, a grizzled old man with a bushy mustache, glanced in the rearview mirror, his eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and fear. His voice low and rough.
Where to, Habibi?
Mac handed him a wad of cash.
Just drive, my friend. We'll tell you where to go.
The driver nodded, his eyes darting back to the road. He sped through the streets, taking sharp turns and dodging pedestrians. Mac and Rose held on tight, their eyes scanning the area for any sign of pursuit. As they drove, the cityscape gave way to narrower streets and alleys. The buildings seemed to close in around them, the shadows casting a dark and menacing spell. Rose's voice was low and urgent.
We are being followed.
Mac's eyes snapped to the rearview mirror. A black SUV was tailing them, its windows tinted black.
Take a lift here.
The driver swerved, taking the turn on two wheels, throwing both Mac and Rose towards the door. Mac and Rose held on tight, their eyes locked on the SUV. It followed, its tires screeching as it took the turn.
We're not going to outrun them.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
I know a place. Take a right up ahead, driver.
The driver nodded, taking the turn. The SUV followed, its occupants unaware of the trap that was about to be sprung. As they drove, the streets grew narrower and more crowded. The sounds of the city filled the air, a cacophony of horns and shouts. Mac and Rose knew they had to act fast. They were running out of time, and the Hezbollah operatives were closing in. The black SUV pulled up behind the taxi cab, its occupants ready to make their move. The leader, a burly man with a thick beard, nodded to his men, his eyes gleaming with anger.
Take them down.
The men nodded, their eyes locked on the taxi cab. Mac and Rose burst out of the taxi cab, their guns drawn. They took cover behind a nearby dumpster, their eyes locked on the SUV.
Get down!
Mac shouted as the Hezbollah operatives opened fire. The taxi driver quickly left the scene, his tires squealing in protest. The sound of gunfire echoed through the streets, and the crowd scattered screaming. Mac and Rose returned fire, taking down the operatives one by one. As the last operative fell, Mac and Rose breathed a sigh of relief. They knew they weren't out of danger yet, but they had bought themselves some time.
We need to get to the safe house.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
I think I know a way.
Mac and Rose moved quickly, their guns still drawn as they navigated the crowded streets. They had abandoned the taxi cab and were now making their way on foot, trying to lose themselves in the sea of people. As they walked, Mac's phone buzzed with a message from Mossad headquarters. He glanced at the screen, his eyes scanning the message.
It's from Levin. He says the Hezbollah operatives have put out a bounty on our heads. They're offering $1 million to anyone who brings us in, dead or alive.
Rose's eyes narrowed.
That's a lot of money. We're going to have a lot of people waiting for us.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the area.
We need to get off the streets. Let's head to the safe house.
They quickened their pace, their eyes scanning the crowds for any sign of danger. As they turned a corner, Mac spotted a small alleyway between two buildings. Mac grabbed Rose's arm. They ducked into the alleyway, the darkness enveloping them like a shroud. The air was thick with the smell of garbage and decay, and the sound of the city was muffled. As they made their way deeper into the alley, Mac's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen, his eyes narrowing.
It's Levin. He says the Hezbollah operatives have set up a checkpoint at the entrance to the safe house. They're waiting for us.
Rose's eyes snapped to Mac's.
What do we do now?
Mac's face was set in a determined expression.
We go in, guns blazing.
Hezbollah operatives were gathered at the checkpoint, their eyes scanning the crowds for any sign of Mac and Rose. They were a mix of young and old, their faces set in determined expressions. One of the operatives, a young man with a scar above his eyebrow, nodded to his leader.
I'm sure they're going to try and make a run for the safe house, sir. We should be ready for them.
The leader, a burly man with a thick beard, nodded.
We will be ready. Let's take them down.
Mac and Rose crouched in the shadows, their eyes locked on the checkpoint. They could see the Hezbollah operatives, their guns trained on the crowds. Mac's face was set in determined expression.
Let's do this.
Rose nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. They moved forward, their guns drawn, ready to take on the Hezbollah operatives and make a break for the safety of the extraction point.
Chapter 7. Checkpoint.
Mac and Rose moved quickly, their guns drawn as they approached the checkpoint. The Hezbollah operatives were waiting for them, their eyes scanning the crowds for any sign of the Israeli agents. As Mac and Rose approached, the operatives opened fire, the sound of gunfire echoing through the streets. Mac and Rose returned fire, taking down the operatives one by one. The battle was intense, with bullets flying everywhere. Mac and Rose, both expert marksmen, moved in sync, their training and experience guiding them as they took down the enemy. Finally, the last operative fell, and Mac and Rose breathed a sigh of relief. They knew they weren't out of danger yet, but they had cleared a path to the extraction point. They moved quickly, grabbing a car left by a now dead operative and speeding through the streets of Beirut. The city was a blur as they drove. Mac's eyes were scanning the road ahead for any sign of pursuit. As they approached the planned extraction point on a beach south of the city, Mac's heart pounded with excitement. They were almost there.
Hold on.
Rose nodded, her eyes locked on the distant grocery store that was close to the extraction point. The car sped south down the Beirut Side highway away from the city and screeched to a stop in the car park of Al Forno grocery store. They ran past the imposing building, crossed the old Sidar road towards the beach, where an Israeli helicopter quickly landed to extract them. They were greeted by a team of Israeli soldiers who raced them to the waiting helicopter. As they boarded the helicopter, one of the soldiers spoke cheerfully.
Welcome back, Mac and Rose.
Mac and Rose nodded, exhausted, as the helicopter quickly took off, flying them back to Tel Aviv at low altitude across the Mediterranean Sea to avoid detection. As they landed, Mac and Rose were greeted by Director Levin, who shook their hands warmly.
Well done, team. You did it. You stopped the Hezbollah operatives and got out alive.
Mac and Rose smiled, tired but triumphant, as they walked away from the helicopter.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
Mac and Rose sat in Director Levin's office, recounting their mission. Levin nodded, his eyes scanning the report.
You did a great job, team. The funds are secure, the Hezbollah operatives are in disarray, and the imminent attack was stopped in its tracks.
Mac and Rose nodded, their faces set in determined expressions. Mac spoke, his voice low.
We're not done yet. We need to finish what we started. We need to destroy the Hezbollah leadership.
Director Levin's face was set in a determined expression as he addressed the team.
The funds have all been distributed, and we know they're already programmed to detonate with the code. We just need to send the code, and they'll take out the Hezbollah operatives.
Mac's eyes narrowed.
What's the code, Director?
Levin's eyes gleamed with a hint of satisfaction.
The code is a sequence of numbers that will be sent to the funds at exactly 0300 hours tonight. When they receive the code, the funds will detonate, taking out the Hezbollah operatives and crippling their operation.
Rose's eyes widened.
That's a huge risk, Director. What if something goes wrong?
As you know and saw, we tested the funds, we also tested the code, and it's foolproof. We just need to send it at the right time, and we have the perfect window to do it.
Mac's eyes snapped to Levin's.
When is that window?
Levin's smile was cold.
The Hezbollah operatives are gathering for a meeting at 0300 hours tonight. If we send the code, then we'll take out the entire leadership of the organization.
Rose's eyes gleamed with excitement.
Let's finish this, Director.
Levin nodded.
Get the team ready. We're going to send the code at exactly 0300 hours tonight.
At exactly 0300 hours, Levin turned to Blake, who was sitting ready at his computer.
Blake, it's time. Send the code now.
The room fell silent as his finger paused for what seemed like minutes, but was really just seconds. His finger dropped to the button. The sound of the keyboard button click seemed so loud in the silent room, as the whole team watched the hacked cameras at Hezbollah headquarters.
Beirut, Lebanon. Hezbollah headquarters.
The conference room was abuzz with anticipation as Hezbollah's top operatives gathered, and their phones suddenly buzzed in unison. Nasrallah, the leader, looked at his device, confusion etched on his face.
What is this?
But before he could react, the phones exploded, unleashing a devastating blast that shook the room. Chaos erupted as body parts scattered everywhere, screams filled the air, and the smell of blood and smoke choked the survivors. The once intact conference table now lay shattered, its surface splattered with flesh and debris. Ammar's body slumped over, his face disfigured beyond recognition as the room descended into pandemonium. His mostly destroyed phone was still held in his severed hand. The meeting intended to discuss strategy had turned into a massacre, marking a significant blow to Hezbollah's leadership and capabilities.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team watched as the phones detonated, taking out the Hezbollah operatives. The room was silent, with everyone holding their breath. Dr. Blake leaned back in his chair, face in his hands. He stood up and said,
"Team, my work here is done. Good luck, my friends."
With that, he left the room. Levin nodded. His face was set in a satisfied expression.
It's done. The operation is a success.
Mac and Rose nodded, relief etched on their faces. The director's phone rang, and he answered it.
Yes.
The voice on the other end was calm.
The operation was a success. The Hezbollah operatives have been neutralized.
Levin nodded, a small smile on his face.
Good.
Chapter 8. Devastation.
The scene was one of utter devastation. The conference room was reduced to rubble, with bodies and body parts scattered everywhere. The air was thick with smoke and dust, and the sound of screams and groans filled the air. Mohammed Mahdi Ammar's body lay motionless on the floor, his phone still in his severed hand. The explosion had been so powerful that it had shredded his clothes and seared his skin. The survivors stumbled out of the wreckage, their faces blackened with soot and their ears ringing from the blast. They staggered through the streets covered in blood, trying to make sense of what had happened. The city's hospitals were quickly overwhelmed with casualties as the injured began to pour in. The medical staff worked tirelessly to treat the wounded, but it was clear that the situation was dire. Hospitals struggled to cope with the influx of injured, many suffering from severe hand and facial injuries, with some losing fingers, hands, or eyes.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team watched the footage of the aftermath, their faces somber. Levin's expression was grim.
It's a terrible thing, but it was necessary. We prevented a much larger attack, and we took out the leadership of a terrorist organization.
Mac nodded, his eyes fixed on the screen.
I know, Director, but it's still hard to watch.
Rose shook her head.
I don't think we'll ever get used to this, Mac. But we have to keep doing what we do for the sake of the West.
Levin nodded.
You're right, Roz. We'll keep doing what we do, no matter what.
International News Channel.
Reports are coming in of a massive explosion in Beirut, Lebanon, where a meeting of Hezbollah leaders was taking place. The death toll is estimated to be in the hundreds, with many more injured.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the explosion. The camera cut to footage of the devastation. with people running through the streets and buildings on fire.
The cause of the explosion is still unknown, but sources close to the investigation say it may have been a terrorist attack.
Beirut, Lebanon. Hezbollah headquarters.
The city's streets were filled with the sounds of chaos and destruction. Buildings were on fire, and the air was thick with smoke and dust. The smell of blood and sweat filled the air as rescue workers scrambled to find survivors. Amidst the chaos, a figure emerged, staggering from the rubble. It was Amir, Nasrallah's second-in-command. His face was bruised and battered, but his eyes burned with a fierce determination. He stumbled through the streets, his unexploded phone clutched in his hand. He was searching for anyone who could help him find out who was behind the attack. As he walked, he received a message on his phone. It was from an unknown sender, but the message was clear. Amir's eyes widened as he read the message. He knew that the Israelis were behind the attack, and he vowed to take revenge.
The Israelis will pay for this.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team was on high alert, monitoring the situation in Beirut. Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the screens.
We need to be careful. Hezbollah is going to want revenge for this.
Levin's face was set in a grim expression.
We're ready, Mac. We've anticipated this.
Rose frowned, her eyes narrowed.
But can we handle it? This could escalate very quickly.
Levin's expression was unyielding.
We'll do what we have to do. Our priority is to protect Israel and its citizens.
International News Channel.
The death toll in the attack in Beirut, Lebanon is rising, with reports of over 500 people killed and thousands more injured. The international community is in shock, and many are calling for calm and restraint.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the aftermath of the explosion. The camera cut to footage of world leaders condemning the attack and offering condolences to the families of the victims.
Meanwhile, tensions are escalating in the region with reports of military build-ups and threats of retaliation.
Chapter 9. Vengeance.
The news of the phone attack that killed Ammar, the son of Hezbollah leader Nasrallah, sent shockwaves through the Middle East. The elder, Nasrallah, was consumed by grief and a burning desire for revenge. In a televised address, Nasrallah vowed to avenge his son's death, his voice trembling with rage.
I will make the enemies of Allah and the enemies of Lebanon pay a heavy price for this heinous crime. I will make them drink from the same cup of suffering that they have given us.
Beirut, Lebanon. Hezbollah hideout.
Nasrallah's eyes burned with a fierce determination as he addressed the remaining Hezbollah leaders.
We will not rest until we have avenged our fallen brothers. The Israelis will pay for this, I swear it.
The room erupted in a chorus of angry shouts and cries for revenge. The Hezbollah leaders were united in their desire for vengeance, and Nasrallah knew that he had to act quickly to keep the situation from spiraling out of control. Amir declared,
"We will launch a coordinated attack on Israeli targets. We will show them that they cannot attack us with impunity."
The leaders nodded in agreement, and Nasrallah began to issue orders to Amir and his top commanders. The plan was to launch a series of simultaneous attacks on Israeli cities using rockets, drones, and suicide bombers.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team, led by Levin, watched the address with interest. They knew that Nasrallah's desire for revenge could lead to a new wave of violence and instability in the region. Levin's face was serious as he addressed the team.
We need to keep a close eye on Nasrallah. He's a man consumed by grief and anger. We can't predict what he'll do next.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the screens. Rose's voice was calm.
I've hacked into Hezbollah's comms, Director. Nasrallah is mobilizing his forces, preparing for a major attack.
Levin nodded, his expression grim.
We're on high alert. We'll do everything in our power to prevent Nasrallah revenge.
Beirut, Lebanon.
As the team sprang into action, Nasrallah slipped into the shadows, his eyes burning with a fierce determination. Nasrallah's world crumbled the day his son was taken from him. The grief was overwhelming, but it fueled a burning desire for revenge. He had been planning this moment, meticulously gathering resources and allies. The death of his son was the final straw, pushing him to take drastic measures. Nasrallah's network of contacts and operatives would soon be activated, unleashing a wave of chaos and destruction on those responsible. The world would soon realize that Nasrallah's wrath was not to be underestimated. His son's death would be avenged, and anyone standing in his way would be eliminated. The hunt was on, and Nasrallah was the predator, stalking his prey with patience and precision. As he disappeared into the night, the sound of sirens and screams echoed in the distance. The storm was coming, and Nasrallah was its eye.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team was monitoring the situation in Beirut, and they knew that an attack was imminent. Levin's face was set in a grim expression.
We need to get the IDF on high alert. We can't let Hezbollah catch us off guard.
Levin nodded, his eyes scanning the screens.
I'll notify the Prime Minister and get the IDF mobilized.
Rose frowned, her eyes narrowed.
What about the civilians? We need to get them to safety.
Levin's expression was unyielding.
The IDF will do everything in its power to protect the citizens of Israel. But we need to be prepared for the worst.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Prime Minister's office.
Levin met with the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister.
Nasrallah is seeking immediate retaliation on our border towns. He is preparing his remaining fighters to attack.
His voice grim. Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered that Nasrallah must be taken down immediately by any means necessary. It was decided the best way was via a massive airstrike against the leader of Hezbollah, code-named New Order. Israel's plan to take down Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut was set in motion. The Israeli Air Force had been tracking Nasrallah's movements, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Operation New Order imminent.
Chapter 10, The Target. Bunker, Beirut, Lebanon.
Nasrallah was meeting with senior Hezbollah leaders in a heavily fortified bunker beneath residential buildings in Hotbed, a suburb of Beirut. The IDF had received intel of the bunker's location and that Nasrallah would be attending the meeting, and they were determined to take him out. The IDF launched a precision-guided airstrike, dropping over 80 bombs on the bunker. The explosion was massive, destroying the underground headquarters and nearby buildings. Nasrallah and several senior Hezbollah leaders were killed in the attack. As sirens sounded in the chaos, rescuers attempted to save lives, but to no avail. There was nothing but utter devastation. Buildings and bodies were blown to pieces by the huge explosions. The airstrike was a significant blow to Hezbollah. The assassination of Nasrallah sparked widespread violence in Lebanon, causing widespread destruction. Civil unrest and violence erupted on the streets of Beirut, with crowds gathering, yelling,
Gaza Strip.
In the Gaza Strip, Hamas leaders were watching the events unfold in Beirut with great interest. They saw the attacks on their brothers, Hezbollah, and decided they would take their own revenge and launch a coordinated attack on Israel. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh declared,
"We must join the fight."
The Hamas military wing began to prepare for battle, preparing rockets and fighters in locations throughout the Gaza Strip and on the border with Israel.
"We will show the Israelis that they cannot attack us with impunity."
International News Channel.
Tensions are at a boiling point tonight in the Middle East, with Hezbollah and Hamas threatening to launch attacks on Israel. The international community is calling for calm and restraint. It seems that the situation is spiralling out of control.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the escalating situation. The camera cut to footage of military buildups and protests in the region. The news anchor continued.
The UN and the international community urge all parties to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation. The situation is volatile, and there's fear that it could lead to a wider conflict.
The screen went to further footage and the reader cut in.
We have late-breaking news that the IDF has conducted a targeted airstrike in Beirut, Lebanon, killing Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and many of his top aides. More news as it comes to hand.
Chapter 11. High Alert.
The Israeli Defense Forces were on high alert, with soldiers and officers scrambling to prepare for the impending attack. The air was thick with tension as the team worked to coordinate a response. The IDF commander, General Cohen, addressed the team, his voice calm and steady.
Soldiers, we will not be intimidated by the threats of Hezbollah or Hamas. We will defend our country and our people with all our might.
The team nodded, their faces set in determined expressions. They knew that the situation was volatile, but they were ready to do whatever it took to protect Israel.
Beirut, Lebanon.
Amir's eyes gleamed with a fierce determination as he addressed the Hezbollah leaders.
We will launch the attack at dawn. We will show the Israelis that they cannot attack us with impunity. We will avenge the death of our leader.
The others nodded in agreement, and Amir issued his final orders to his top commanders. The plan was to launch a massive attack on Israeli cities using every weapon in their arsenal.
Gaza Strip.
In the Gaza Strip, Hamas leaders were preparing for battle, deploying rockets and fighters to the border with Israel. The air was thick with tension as the team worked to coordinate their attack. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh addressed the team, his voice filled with conviction.
We will show the Israelis that we will not be silenced. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
International News Channel.
The world is holding its breath tonight as tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East. Hezbollah and Hamas have threatened to launch attacks on Israel, and the IDF is on high alert.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the escalating situation. The camera cut to footage of military buildups and protests in the region.
The international community is calling for calm and restraint, but it seems that the situation is spiraling out of control. The US President urging all parties to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad team was monitoring the situation, their faces set in determined expressions. Levin's voice was calm and steady.
We will do everything in our power to protect Israel and its citizens. We will not be intimidated by the threats of Hezbollah and Hamas.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the screens.
The IDF is ready, Director. They will defend the country and the people.
Rose frowned, her eyes narrowed.
But at what cost, Mac? The situation is volatile, and we risk a wider conflict.
Levin's expression was unyielding.
We will do what we have to do, Roz. We will protect Israel, no matter what it takes.
Chapter 12. Dawn Fire.
The sound of sirens blared across the Israeli landscape as rockets began to rain down on major cities, and the Israeli air defense system began to intercept and destroy short-range rockets. The air was filled with the sound of explosions and the smell of smoke. In Tel Aviv, Mac and Rose were scanning the screens as they monitored the situation. Levin's voice was calm and steady.
The IDF is responding. We will defend our country and our people.
The Mossad team watched in real time as the Israeli Air Force scrambled to intercept the incoming rockets. The air was filled with the sound of fighter jets and the smell of burning fuel.
Gaza Strip.
In the Gaza Strip, Hamas fighters were launching rockets towards Israel, their faces set in determined expressions. The air was thick with tension as they worked to coordinate their attack. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh addressed the team, his voice filled with conviction.
We will show the Israelis that we will not be silenced. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Beirut, Lebanon.
Amir's eyes gleamed with a fierce determination as he addressed the Hezbollah leaders.
We will continue the attack. We will show the Israelis that they cannot attack us with impunity.
The leaders nodded in agreement, and Amir began to issue orders to his top commanders. The plan was to launch a sustained attack on Israeli cities, using every weapon in their arsenal.
IDF headquarters.
The IDF commander, General Cohen, addressed the team, his voice calm and steady.
We will defend our country and our people. We will not be intimidated by the threats of Hezbollah or Hamas.
The team nodded, their faces set in determined expressions. They knew that the situation was volatile, but they were ready to do whatever it took to protect Israel.
International News Channel.
And breaking news tonight, the conflict in the Middle East has escalated into a full-scale war. Israel has been hit by hundreds of rockets, with the Iron Dome intercepting most of them, and the IDF is responding with airstrikes and artillery fire.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the escalating situation. The camera cut to footage of the destruction and chaos, with buildings on fire and people running for cover.
The international community is calling for a ceasefire, but it seems that the situation is dire and spiralling out of control. They urge all parties to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation.
Chapter 13. Terror Warfare.
General Cohen's face was set in a determined expression as he addressed the team.
We have identified the locations of the rocket launchers. It's time to take them out.
The team nodded, their faces set in grim expressions. They knew that the situation was volatile, but they were ready to do whatever it took to protect Israel. The IDF launched a series of airstrikes, targeting the rocket launchers and Hezbollah positions. The air was filled with the sound of explosions and the smell of smoke and fire.
Beirut, Lebanon.
Amir's eyes widened in shock as he watched the IDF airstrikes destroy their positions.
How did they find us?
One of his commanders, a man named Khalil, spoke up.
We think they must have had an inside source. Someone must have given them our coordinates.
Amir's face darkened with anger.
Find out who it was, and make sure they pay for their treachery.
Gaza Strip.
In the Gaza Strip, Hamas fighters were still launching rockets towards Israel. But their efforts were being met with fierce resistance from the IDF. The air was thick with smoke and fire as the two sides clashed. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh addressed the team, his voice filled with conviction.
We will not be intimidated. We will continue to fight for our rights and our freedom.
International News Channel.
And tonight as we speak, the conflict in the Middle East has reached a critical point. The IDF has launched a series of airstrikes on Hezbollah and Hamas positions, and the death toll is rising.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the escalating situation. The camera cut to footage of the destruction and chaos, with buildings on fire and people running for cover.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Mossad headquarters.
Levin's face was set in a determined expression as he addressed the team.
We need to get the Prime Minister's attention. We need to convince Netanyahu to authorize the ground attack.
I agree. I'll get the message to him, Mac.
Rose frowned. Her eyes narrowed.
Are you sure that's a good idea, Mac? A ground attack could lead to a lot of casualties.
Mac's face was set in a grim expression.
I know rules, but it's the only way to put an end to this conflict once and for all.
Chapter 14. Ground Offensive. Prime Minister's Office.
The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, listened intently as Levin and his team presented their plan for a ground attack. The room was thick with tension as they discussed the risks and benefits. Netanyahu's face was set in a determined expression.
We have no other choice. There's no life for us, there's no future for us and our neighbors if we allow the axis of terror led by Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas. We have to win. If we want to have peace, we have to destroy Hamas. Do it with as few civilian casualties as we can and with maximum casualties on the Hamas terrorists.
Levin nodded, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Daniel, Levin's assistant, spoke.
We'll begin preparations immediately, Mr. Prime Minister.
IDF headquarters.
The IDF was mobilizing for a ground attack, with soldiers and equipment being deployed to the border. The air was thick with tension as the team prepared for battle. General Cohen addressed the team, his voice calm and steady.
We will enter Gaza with one goal in mind, to destroy the terrorist infrastructure and protect Israel. We will not be intimidated. We will not be deterred.
The soldiers nodded, their faces set in determined expressions. They knew the mission would be challenging, but they were determined to do whatever it took to protect their country.
Gaza Strip, IDF ground attack.
The sun had barely risen over Gaza, but the air was already thick with tension. Hamas and Hezbollah fighters were huddled in makeshift bunkers, their faces etched with determination. They'd been preparing for this moment since the attacks in Lebanon, digging trenches and fortifying positions, waiting for the inevitable IDF invasion. Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader, stood tall amidst the chaos, his voice filled with conviction as he addressed his team.
We will fight to the death, we will not surrender, and we will not be defeated.
His words sent a surge of adrenaline through the fighters, who cheered and vowed to stand strong. As Haniyeh finished speaking, the sound of drones buzzed overhead, followed by the distant rumble of tanks. The IDF was closing in. The fighters took their positions, hearts pounding, ready to face the enemy. But amidst the chaos, a young fighter, Ali, felt a pang of doubt. What if they weren't prepared? What if this was the end? He looked around at his comrades, their faces set with resolve, and knew he wasn't alone in his fears. Back in Tehran, Haniyeh's words echoed in the minds of Iranian officials, who were watching the situation unfold with bated breath. The stakes were high, and the world was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Would Gaza fall, or would the resistance prove too strong? The outcome was far from certain.
International News Channel.
Sources tell us that the IDF is preparing for a possible ground invasion of Gaza as tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East. The international community is calling for a ceasefire, but it seems the situation is out of control.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the escalating situation.
International community urge all parties to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation. The situation volatile, and there's fear it could lead to a wider regional conflict.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
Levin's face was set in a determined expression as he addressed the team.
It's time to put an end to this conflict once and for all. We will do whatever it takes to protect Israel and its citizens.
Mac and Rose nodded, their faces set in determined expressions. They knew the mission would be challenging, but they were determined to do whatever it took to protect their country.
Gaza Strip, IDF ground attack.
The IDF entered Gaza with a thunderous roar, tanks and armored vehicles rolling across the border. The air was sick with smoke and fire as the two sides clashed in a fierce battle. Hamas and Hezbollah fighters were determined to resist, launching a barrage of rockets and missiles at the IDF. The sound of explosions and gunfire filled the air as the battle raged on. The IDF also worked to dismantle Hamas's extensive tunnel network, which was a key part of its strategy. They systematically destroyed around 2 kilometers of tunnels in northern Gaza, but their intel suggested Hamas still has hundreds of miles of tunnels remaining. These tunnels were crucial for Hamas's operations, allowing them to move undetected, launch surprise attacks, and store weapons. The IDF used advanced tech like ground-penetrating radar and robotic devices to locate and destroy these tunnels, often in densely populated areas. It was a complex and challenging operation, with Hamas using civilians as human shields and booby-trapping tunnels. The IDF prioritized minimizing civilian harm while targeting Hamas's infrastructure. As the battle raged on, the IDF faced challenges in detecting and destroying Hamas's hidden tunnels and facilities. Despite this, they made great progress in dismantling Hamas's infrastructure, including tunnel shafts, arms depots, and explosive rig buildings in Rafah. The situation was highly volatile, and the world watched closely.
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
Levin and his team watched the battle unfold on screens, their faces set in determined expressions. The air was thick with tension as they monitored the situation. Mac's voice was calm and steady.
The IDF is making progress, but they're facing heavy resistance.
Rose nodded, her eyes scanning the screens.
Hamas and Hezbollah are fighting hard. This is going to be a tough fight.
Levin's face was set in a determined expression.
We need to take out the leadership. It's the only way to end this conflict.
Gaza Strip.
A team of IDF Special Forces operatives, codenamed Sayeret Matkal, had infiltrated Gaza, their mission to capture or kill Hamas and Hezbollah leaders. The team leader, Captain David, spoke into his comms device.
We have located the target. Prepare for extraction.
The team moved swiftly and quietly, taking out enemy fighters as they went. They reached the target building, a heavily fortified bunker deep underground. Captain David's voice was calm and steady.
Breach the bunker. Now.
The team breached the bunker, taking out enemy fighters as they went. They reached the heart of the bunker, where Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was hiding. Haniyeh's face was twisted with rage.
You'll never take me alive.
Captain David's face was set in a determined expression.
We're not here to take you alive. We're here to end this conflict.
The team took Haniyeh into custody as the bunker was neutralized.
International News Channel.
And news from Israel tonight as we hear that the IDF has captured Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh as the battle for Gaza continues to rage on. The international community calling for a ceasefire, but it seems that the situation is still out of control.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the latest developments. The camera cut to footage of the battle with smoke and fire filling the air.
The UN and world leaders have strongly urged all parties to exercise restraint and avoid any further escalation. The situation volatile, and they fear it could lead to a wider conflict regionally.
Gaza Strip, IDF operations.
The IDF continued to push deeper into Gaza, its mission to dismantle the terrorist infrastructure and restore peace to the region. The air was thick with smoke and fire as the battle raged on. In the heart of Gaza, the IDF's operation was hitting its stride, with soldiers navigating through narrow alleys, their mission clear: dismantle the terrorist infrastructure. As they pushed deeper, the sounds of war echoed: helicopters overhead, the rumble of tanks, and the crackle of gunfire. Amidst the chaos, civilians were caught in the crossfire, their lives upended by the relentless battle. The IDF's goal was to restore peace, but the path to it was fraught with danger. Hamas fighters were dug in, using tunnels and hidden traps to wage a guerrilla war. The IDF had to be precise, taking out targets while minimizing harm to innocents. The IDF made progress, capturing key positions and neutralizing threats. But the cost was high: lives lost, families displaced, and a future uncertain. The question on everyone's mind: would peace finally come to the region?
Tel Aviv, Israel, Mossad headquarters.
Levin's face was set in a determined expression as he addressed the team.
We've got confirmation that Hezbollah's leadership has been decimated. Amir is on the run, but we have a lead on his location.
Mac nodded, his eyes scanning the screens.
We'll get him, Director.
Rose's voice was calm and steady.
The international community is calling for a ceasefire. What are our next steps?
Levin's expression was unyielding.
We will not be swayed by international pressure.
Beirut, Lebanon, Hezbollah hideout.
Amir's eyes were filled with desperation as he realized his world was crumbling around him. He knew he had to get out of the country, but the Mossad had him in their sights. A shadowy figure appeared in the doorway.
Amir, it's time to go.
Amir nodded, his face twisted with rage.
This isn't over. I will rebuild. I will avenge.
The figure nodded, handing Amir a phone.
Call the number. You'll be extracted.
Amir's eyes narrowed, but he took the phone. As he dialed the number, a sense of unease washed over him. The figure's voice was cold.
Amir, you are not going anywhere.
Amir's eyes widened in horror as the room was surrounded by Mossad agents.
International News Channel.
The conflict in the Middle East has reached a critical point. The IDF capturing Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, and Hezbollah's leadership has been decimated. But the situation is still volatile, and the world waits with bated breath to see what happens next.
The news anchor's face was grave as he reported on the latest developments. The camera cut to footage of the conflict, with smoke and fire filling the air.
The UN and the international community is calling for an immediate ceasefire, but it's unclear if that will be heeded. One thing, of course, is certain: the situation seems far from over. Meanwhile, back home, anti-Israel protests are breaking out in many cities around the world, including right here in New York.
Epilogue.
This conflict in the Middle East had finally come to an end, with the IDF successfully dismantling the terrorist infrastructure in Gaza and Lebanon. The international community breathed a collective sigh of relief as the ceasefire held. In a secret meeting, Levin and Netanyahu met with international leaders to discuss the aftermath of the conflict. Netanyahu's face was set in a determined expression.
If you want peace, destroy Hamas. If you want security, if you want a future for Israel, the Palestinians, the Middle East, destroy Hamas.
Levin nodded, his eyes scanning the room. The international leaders nodded in agreement, their faces somber. But this peace would again soon be shattered.
International News Channel.
The conflict in the Middle East is over, for now. The IDF has captured Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah's leadership has been decimated. But the Middle East, Israel, Gaza, Iran and Lebanon remain at a tipping point as the world waits to see what happens next.
The news anchor was reporting on the latest developments. The camera cut to footage of the conflict with smoke and fire filling the air, then to footage of anti-Israel protests from around the world.
The UN and the international community are calling for an end to all hostilities, but it's unclear if that will ever be possible in this decades-long ongoing conflict. For now, there is a sense of peace, but the situation seems far from over. Meanwhile, anti-Israel protests are breaking out in many cities around the world, with protesters flying the Palestinian flag and burning both the Israeli and American flags. There are regular skirmishes between protesters and pro-Israel supporters. Here in New York, 15 protesters have been arrested for assault and resisting arrest.
Israel.
In a secret burial ground in the desert, a lone figure, Captain David, stood before a grave, his eyes filled with a mix of sadness and pride. Before turning to leave, he whispered,
"Mission accomplished."
As he walked away, he saw a small stone marker with the words Sayeret Matkal etched into it. Israeli Special Forces, I believe we will win. Secret Payload. This audio drama was written, directed, and produced by Stephen McKenna of Silvercord Productions.
Hi, I'm Stephen McKenna, the writer, producer, and director of this audio drama. This audio drama based on a book that I authored called Secret Payload, which is part of a series called The Phoenix, available as an ebook and also as a paperback book. The next in the series will be produced very soon, called Red Desert Rose. Thank you.